Hello and welcome to today's episode of Your Life, Your Way. I'm your host, Kathleen McDermott. I created this podcast to spark your thinking to consider the possibilities of designing your life, your way, with less stress and more joy, passion, and fun. Your life is not a dress rehearsal. This is it. It's your gift to live and love to the fullest by reducing the stress that eats away at health and quality of life. Break the cycles keeping you on that path of being and doing how others think that you should and how you've learned to think that you should. Embrace the possibilities so you can build a powerful legacy for yourself and your children. In today's segment of Life on and Off the Mat, I'm speaking up about speaking up and how all of that flows together in your life, your way. Thank you for joining me. Speaking up. What causes us not to speak up? We are taught as little girls to be seen, but to be quiet, to be polite, to be good little girls. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be polite, but speaking up does not mean that we are not good girls. I want to give you an example today of where speaking up is important and how it relates to daily life. And I call it life on and off the mat. If you know, if you've been following me, you know that I'm a yoga teacher. And this is where it all began for me. When you think of yoga, when you hear the word of yoga, what comes to mind? Probably images of those perfect poses. You might think, have you said yourself or heard someone else say, I can't do yoga. Oh, I can't do yoga. I can't get into those poses. I'm not flexible enough. I can't get into those pretzel poses. What if I were to say that those poses might not necessarily be yours? Have you been in a class? You've looked to the right, you've looked to the left, front of behind, you've seen the teacher, and you're comparing yourself, how your pose, how your body looks compared to the teacher or other people in the class. Have you continued the class or have you stopped? Because you're feeling self-conscious. This example happens so much in our daily life. When we go to a yoga class, and there are so many different branches of yoga, there are different styles. But when I began to teach, I wanted to teach differently just for these reasons. Because so many people think that they cannot do yoga. If you're breathing, you're doing yoga, but that's another conversation. I learned to teach adaptively. And what that means is I am not there to put you into my perception of how you should be in a particular yoga pose, otherwise known as asana. My intention is to help you find yours. People go to yoga, they practice yoga for many different reasons. One of those reasons is to try to find peace, calm, clarity, strength, grace. If you're trying to force yourself into something that does not feel right for you, that is actually painful for you, whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, how is that serving you? And it's not just in yoga. You can actually create and design your pose on the mat, and that's exactly what we've done, is what is happening, what are you feeling, what is coming up? Your bones are different. Your journey is different. You're different. So how can we create using blocks, straps, the wall, bolsters, chairs? How can we help you find yours? Because if you're not in yours, the self-discovery, that journey is not going to be a pleasant one or successful. And I used to love, oh gosh, I when I was in a group class, I could just see the different multiple of one pose looking so differently for each individual because it was theirs. And that is my intention off the mat. My yoga practice is mine. My life is mine. If you are in, I don't care if it's a yoga class, Pilates class, I don't care what it is, if it's meditation, if someone is telling you this is how it has to be, this is how it should be, yes and no. This is how the basic pose structure might look. But how does that feel to your body? My hips are not your hips. My hips will never square in a pose. So I need to adjust accordingly. When I'm going through my life, there might be something facing me in a day that doesn't fit me personally, safety-wise, health-wise, joyful-wise. Does that even make sense? So I need to adjust for me. Excuse me. And some people will say, well, and I've had actually clients say to me, well, I don't want to create conflict. Why does it have to be conflict? We've been conditioned to think that if we speak up, we're in conflict, we're creating conflict. We are in control of our own delivery, our own energy, and how we respond to things. We are not in control of how someone receives it. And I honestly can't believe that if you said something to a yoga teacher, asked for help, that teacher would take that as conflict. If they do, that is their own issue in their own life, in their own journey. Find another teacher, another class. The same thing can happen in Pilates. I have some very, very good instructors in Pilates, and they are very, very good at adapting and modifying for my physical needs. But I have had instances in both Pilates and yoga where teachers, instructors have attempted to put my body into a place where they wanted it to be, where they felt it should be. That risks injury, and it's unacceptable. Very unacceptable. But it's a rarity. But you cannot be afraid of speaking up. So how does this relate off the mat? Same thing. We are conditioned to not speak up. We don't want to create conflict. And we don't have to go around shouting to the world how we want life to be. We just want to walk in our own path and create our own journey, how it's meant to be for us. You have heard me speak before. We are conditioned at a very young age. It begins and it goes throughout our entire life. That things must be done a certain way, that we must do and be a certain way, or what will people think? How is that living our own life? Are we living our life or someone else's? I've heard, well, that's how my mother did it. That's how my mother taught me. Well, beautiful, but that's what your mom knew. And it's not an insult to your mom if it doesn't serve you and you're doing something differently. If this is what you learned in school, if this is what you learned in church, if this is what you learned, you see in society. What is wrong with knowing yourself, respecting yourself, and honoring yourself? And in your daily life, it's no different than being on a yoga mat and having someone or yourself put you into a physical position that is not right for you. And it's the same with your daily life. If you're in a situation that is harming you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, how is it serving you? Why are you staying in it? Why? Begin in a small area. If it happens to be yoga and something is not feeling right for you, have a private conversation with your teacher. I'm sure they would be so honored to help guide you to enjoy that class and to enjoy your practice. But not only enjoy, but to have the ability to feel safe, to explore, to see what comes up, to find that strength and grace within your practice. And I'll give you another example of that. Perfection chasing will be another solo episode. But that perfect pose of meditation, you know what it is? It's probably just come into your mind. That seated, cross-legged, typical meditation pose. That may be yours, and if it is, beautiful. But it may not be. And I don't know how many people I've heard say, "Oh, I can't meditate. I can't sit like that, or I can't shut off my mind." Well, again, we've been conditioned to think that meditation has to be a certain way, or it's not worth doing, or we failed, or we can't. Same old story, same old reel that runs through our head. What if your meditation was even sitting at a red light, taking some breaths where you just come back to yourself? What if it's outdoors taking a walk and just breathing, feeling that breath move in and out of your body, bringing an awareness to how your body is moving, how it feels. And every time you focus on that breath, your mind is clear, even if it's just for a moment. What if it's sitting in your favorite chair, having a cup of tea and just listening to the silence and just breathing? I love to sit out on my back porch, especially early in the morning before the construction next door begins, and just listen to the birds. Listen to the rustle of the trees if the wind is blowing. And to just be there and breathe. That is meditation for me. That is part of my meditation practice. It's mine. And it might not be yours. But my point is, free yourself. I invite you to open up your mind to the possibility that you can find yours. Meditation is very, very, very beneficial for so many reasons, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. But feeling the pressure of having to put your body in a certain position, to have to sit there for a certain length of time, to have your mind completely blank, please remove that pressure from yourself and find a spot that's yours. It could simply be folding the towels. It's another point that I love to use is folding the towels, folding the laundry, and that rhythm. It could be mixing the spaghetti sauce on the stove, just that rhythm of stirring the sauce and breathing. Bringing your awareness to just you in that moment. And it's the same way in a practice on the mat. Find that place that's yours. Breathe into it. Off the mat, find the space that is yours and breathe into it. If you need help, you need support, you need guidance, please speak up and ask. Give someone the honor, the gift of helping. You like to help others, right? Well, why would you refuse someone else the gift of helping you? I thank you so much for being here today. I hope today you'll speak up somewhere, lovingly, joyfully, for something that serves you, that would bring you peace, calm, clarity, and strength. Peace and blessings. Thank you for joining me today. Where in your life are you ready to speak up? I know what it's like to struggle with that, or maybe speak up in an inappropriate, maybe even a defensive manner. But our voice is our power. We have so much strength and grace in our voice. If you would like to discuss this any further, have any comments, questions, please feel free to email me, yourlifeyourwaypodcast@gmail.com. As a stress and lifestyle management coach, teacher of restorative and adaptive yoga, I know life on and off the mat. I know that flow back and forth. Does it become complete? No. But it is a beautiful process of self-discovery. In my personal opinion, if we stop learning about ourselves, learning about life, expanding and growing, we cease to live. So I hope you will see where you can speak up. I wish you much joy, much passion, much fun. Again, thank you for joining me, and please feel free to share this with anyone that you think might find benefit in for themselves. Peace and blessings.